some people in the room while I am waiting. Hello, hello. Hi, guys. I'm going to allow some people to get in the room before we begin. Hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. I have a really exciting message for you guys. So I'm gonna give just a few more minutes for those to come. Well, not minutes, but allow those people to get their notifications so they can come right on in. Hey, baby, you're a little too loud, okay? Well, all right. Without much further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. I am Tahiri Divine, also known as Diana, the Metaphysical Midwife. You can find me on all my social sites as Tahiri Divine. My blog site is tahiridivine.com, and where you guys will get information on spirituality, on how to make it practical to up-level your life. That is one of my missions in life, is to make spirituality practical. I love the woo-woo as well, but I don't want it to be so woo-woo that we don't know how to make it applicable to really see transformation and elevation in our personal lives, okay? So this is what I like to bring to you guys. So if you guys are interested in that, that's what you'll get from me. Hey, everyone's coming in. Hello, hello. Great time. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. No, ma'am, you stay right there. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. We had our full moon in Capricorn guided meditation. It was amazing. Thank you all to those who came out. It was a wonderful time of releasing, a wonderful time of regathering, refocusing, and reconnecting back to our purpose. So yay. Well, just as an announcement for you guys, let me go and start with my announcements and get these out the way. Hello, thank you guys for coming in. So my first announcement will be I am hosting a film study on the movie Frozen 1 and Frozen 2. That will be hosted July 15th. That is a Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm loving the hair. Thank you. We're doing a little something different. We got to switch it up every now and then, right? So yeah, if you guys are interested in having a wisdom study on those two films, I would highly recommend you guys go ahead and join that. You can do so. I should have just doggone posted my freaking link in here. I don't know why I don't do that. Let me see if I can do that. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can post this in here. Just give me a second. Hold on. Okay, wait. Let me try this one more time. I'm trying to find my link. Hold on, guys. Okay, I'm back, guys. I'm going to post my link right here so you guys can go ahead and get connected with me. Post, and how do I pin it? Pin comment. Perfect. Ow. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I'm hosting that on July 15th. You guys can sign up on the link there as well. Also, just something new I added that was prompted after this full moon guide meditation, and this is what brought me to bring this live today, is I'll be hosting two baptismal ceremonies this month. They'll be hosted, one will be this Saturday, July 11th. The other one will be July 18th, the following Saturday. So you guys have either or those Saturdays to choose from. You don't have to participate in both if you don't feel called to. One is fine. The reason why I've been called to do this baptismal was after we had this release that was in the Capricorn full moon, and as we guys know, Saturn is in retrograde, which is now back in Capricorn. So we're looking back at some areas in our lives on the structures that we've learned in the last 2 years to 2.5 years that Saturn has been in Capricorn, and we're touching back base in that. For a lot of us, it was a lot of restructuring in our foundations and our belief systems and how we operate, our outward ideologies and ideals and the things that we participate and do. So we're coming back to look back in those areas, and looking back in those areas, there's going to be some things that we have to release that may have worked for us at one point in time that's not serving us at this point in this place on where we're heading. So we released that on the full moon, but in the honor of ceremony and the honor of the Divine Mother, because she is all about ceremony and ritual, we're now going to participate in a ritual, particularly a baptismal, which represents a spiritual cleansing, yes, also spiritual purification, but it's also, and so it's a cleansing, a purification, and it's also a physical manifestation of an incantation to move forward in the newness of yourself, right? So the Bible talks about this concept of being ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I mentioned to you guys, water is about memory. I know a lot of times we like to place water conveniently as emotions. Emotions is one part of water, but water is mainly the holder of memory. That's why water is so heavy. And if you really think about that concept of the waters, it is memory, and memories do trigger emotions. So typically we think automatically emotions without properly giving the context what water is. And memories can be refreshing, memories can be hurtful, memories can be fearful. Memories have so much different emotions attached to it. The idea of what it is when you're using the element of water is not allowing yourself to be attached to so much the emotion of it, but then to take the lesson of the memory or the wisdom that memory is triggering within you. Typically we get stuck on the emotion that we have with the said memory, and not realizing there's wisdom and a lesson that is here to be taught. And it's so funny, in Cancer energy form, I have the great Cancer here, and it's today her birthday. I think her birthday was this past weekend. I think July 5th it was no, not your birthday, sweetie. We're talking about that's your birthday, sweetie. My daughter always thinks it's her birthday.
No, it's not my birthday.
Frida Kahlo, we're talking about her. So she is a wonderful representation of Cancerian energy. And so right there in that energy. But without much further ado, let's go straight into what I want to share with you guys about baptisms. What most of us know about baptisms may come from the Christian church. I want you guys to understand, when we put things in historical context, baptisms wasn't just a Christian practice. It really, hey, the High Priestess, it really is an ancient practice from the great mothers, the great sibyls, who were known as the oracles, or the oracles of Delphi. These were the women priests and priestesses of the ancient, or the days of antiquity. And what was always practiced during this time was ceremony. And we understand ceremony to be it's about time, and women are the keepers of time. If we really take time to look at the history of how time has been calculated, it was through the women. The oldest artifacts that have been found that have shown that time is something that women have calculated was I believe it was found in what we know as modern day South Africa. It was a bamboo leg bone that was, they saw there were these 28 markings on the bamboo bone, and they were able to, archaeologists I should say, were able to determine that women was using this bone as a way to make marks of their menstrual cycles. So not only was women measuring time through their menstrual cycles, through the moon cycles, they were also using it as a way for harvesting. So when was the right time to plant? When was the right time to harvest? When was the time to gather? That was the culture of the day. So it was through the women who did these things, because again, we have to remember, in antiquity, before there were men, there were always women. They were all women. It was nothing but women, melanated women, okay? And then the men came later, and this is where we get the concept of husbandry. And husbandry wasn't so much as, husbandry today, if you guys study agriculture, husbandry is actually tilling the land, caring for the land. And when males did come in, their role was to till the land and keep the land up as the hunter-gathering was coming into, as they were spreading that hunter-gatherer culture throughout the world. But so that's just some back history there for you guys to have. But I want to go a little bit into more of the divine feminine aspect of baptisms, and I'll be referencing this book here. This is the Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects by Barbara G. Walker. I definitely highly recommend any woman, I mean any person who's on the path of divine feminine, or incorporating the divine feminine in her life, or his life, is to have this book. This is a really good reference book. I really appreciate Barbara G. Walker. She is an archaeologist and historian, so she was able to take her information and use this to gather this. Let me see. Do you have any book suggestions on this topic? Like, how did the men come here? Yeah, I'll definitely make sure I'll do it. I'm gonna make sure I do another video on that, specifically about books and talking about that as far as how did the men come here. I will definitely share that. I have that. Wait, I have that, not that cover though. Yeah, I think there's 2 editions. This is the first edition. This is the first edition that she had. That came out in 2011, I think. But yeah, this is a really good book. There's another one by her too, which is the Woman's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. I don't have. Wait, do I have that book? I have another book by her, but it's not the Myths and Secrets book. But yeah, Barbara G. Walker is a really good reference book. It's a reference book, as you guys see. So just to let you guys know, it's a reference book. So it's not like a actual reading book. See, I'm about to get into the books. Okay, I'm about to get sidetracked. Let me not do that. I'll pull some more books later. But let me get to the lesson at hand on talking about the baptisms, okay? So I'm going to reference page 147 if you have the first version of this book. As you guys see, this book is so old. My pages are turning yellow. I love old books, guys. I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start here. I want to give this reference particularly. This one is talking about the ceremony of names. So names were very important. Names are very important today. If anybody has ever had a name reading or had their name read, it is a very eye-opening experience to see how your name, although you may not have chosen your name, your parents may have chosen your name, but how your name actually sets the tone on your life path, and also what type of experiences that you may have. And even when you get married or change your name or identify with a new name, those are cute glasses, baby. It has a resonance. And it's actually very funny because with myself, my maiden name, last name I should say, and then my when I had got married name, actually both names very different from each other, actually resonated and said the same thing. So my last name meant summit or mountaintop, and then my married name had ended up meaning on the top of the hill. So it was very interesting how they kind of meant the same thing. But I want to give you guys this reference about the naming and then particularly baptisms and how it was used in antiquity. So it goes here. It says, of all the symbols invented by incessantly symbolizing humanity, names are probably the most significant. The essence of human society and communication is language, which is name giving. Naming things is the very process of creation in many archaic myths. Naming people often meant bestowing life or soul upon them. The Egyptians postulated a named soul bestowed by every mother on her newborn child, along with the baptism of her milk. Ancient India, okay, before I go into that part. So they talk about this baptism of milk. So when a baby was born in antiquity days, it would be 7 to 8 days before the child was named. Sometimes in later cultures, it would be maybe after a year. Now that was for different reasons why, and more closer to modern day cultures, it was a year. But typically it was with 7 to 8 days, a child would be named. During that time, there was a ceremony called the baptism of the milk, and that was usually on the day the child was born. The baptism of the milk represented the mother's breast giving nutrition to the baby, or the colostrum, which was the first form of substance that would come from the breast, was called colostrum, which was all the nutrients that the mother carried for the infant at that time to make it last through the first few days of life. Because typically children and sometimes women did not always survive childbirth and labor. And quiet as it's kept, childbirth and labor is actually more women. Let me give you this. Let me say the statistic this way. More women have died through child delivery, child labor and birth than all the men that have died in every single war that has taken place on the planet. I'm going to repeat this again. More women and children have died through labor and delivery than all the men who have ever died in any single war that has taken place on the world. So just to give you guys perspective of that, a lot of women who have had natural births, particularly without any epidural, just a straight vaginal birth, may have experienced that feeling as if their body was slipping. I know I experienced that. My mother had experienced that when she had a particular birth, natural birth. She had one natural birth, and I mean natural means no epidural or anything given to her to speed the process up or anything like that. And from my own experience, I've experienced the same thing. It really is 1 foot out the door. You really do have 1 foot out the door and 1 foot here. Like, you're between worlds getting this life out. But yes, let me make sure I'm getting you guys in. So true with the names with kids. So true with the, I'm sorry, let me read this again. So true with names. My kids' names actually rang when I heard them during pregnancy. That's how I chose. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. I'm telling you, names are so powerful. I know with both my children, each of them, their names came at a time in my life where I needed them. My eldest child's name represents joy. And then my youngest child's name was Faith. And both times in those areas in my life, I needed joy the first time. And later my youngest one was my Faith. Ooh, Faith, honey. She my Faith right there. But I wanted to give that one reference of the baptism of the milk. So that was not so much it was an outgoing ceremony, but it was represented as a ceremony as putting the baby onto the breast. Okay, so let me give another reference that the book uses as well, talking about baptisms. And this one's going to be in the ritual chapter, which is what I wanted to show, particularly rituals when it comes to baptism. Again, I'm going to read a little excerpt and then I'll go more into it. So this one says, baptism rituals were originally centered on motherhood and the maternal prerogative of name giving. Mothers pronounced their infants' names while squirting them with the milk of their breast. Okay, remember I was telling you guys, so you were giving the child's name as you were using your breast to squirt milk on them. That was the first baptism, actually. Well, okay, let me start over. Your first baptism was actually coming through the vaginal canal, because then those waters, the waters, the amniotic fluid, that was the first baptism that you actually go through, the waters of the womb. The next baptism is the name-giving baptism, which is when the mother is bestowing upon her milk upon the child to now name the child, which we all understand the milk is life-giving source. So again, think about the water. So now you have the clear waters from the womb, and now you have the milk from the breast. So it's two different folds, which is actually coming from the heart. Anybody who knows anything about how breast milk is made, science is hinted to this, but they're not saying it. But breast milk is actually made from the heart. It is the heart, if you really think about the valves, of all the valves and the tissue that connect from the chest of the woman's breast. What creates the milk is actually the blood of the mother's heart is what creates the milk. And so the heart chakra and the womb chakra, the heart chakra and the sacral chakra are deeply connected. They're actually all considered to be wombs. If you really put that together, you have your physical womb that birthed the child. You have your heart chakra or your heart womb, which produces the life-giving or the blood, right? And then if you ever look at your throat, if you look at a anatomical view of the throat, it looks like a vulva. And then you actually have your pineal gland or your third eye, which is another womb-like kind of bulb. That's amazing, intelligent design. I know we are fearfully and wonderfully made, okay? Yes, the great creator has fearfully and wonderfully made us. So we're wonderfully made. So I'm giving you guys some backstory of this baptism energy here, okay? So let me go a little bit more into this. In pagan Europe, even inanimate objects were baptized with milk when given their names. There was an ecclesiastical ballad stating that the Christ child was specifically not baptized in this ancient metrist manner. Baptism for adults was always a matter of symbolically re-entering the womb to pass through its waters and to attain a new birth, often with a new ceremonial name as well. The Egyptians did a great deal of baptismal dipping or sprinkling or anointing or the washing with water, holy water, sacralized by a protective healing charm pronounced over it. These ideas were copied later by the early Christian church. When the church adopted the infant baptism, the ritual was promptly taken out of the hands of the mother and then into the hands of the male priests, who claimed that all children were demonic because they came out of the darkness of the female body, and such inherited the original sin. I'm going to stop right there. Let me see this, unless there's something else I want to go into. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna recap on what we just read, or what I just read to you guys there. So as we already understood, baptism was started as a ritual right from the mother. Okay, it was a mother's way of going ahead and providing for the child, because if you don't think about it, the mother is the first priest or the first priestess or the first god to a child, and so therefore her creating these ceremonies to welcome in this new life, to give it a name, which gives it a soul, which gives it a purpose, right? And so when I'm talking about this concept of renewal, if we understand what season we're in as far as the Cancer season, we're in the season of rebirth. I said to stay right over there, sweetie. I'm almost done. Okay, thank you. It's again this time of rebirth and renewal. So since we have already did this release, I like to think of the full moon as a pregnancy as well. Think of it as it's a full belly that's fully ready to give birth. So we're talking about this releasing, and now we're coming into this time of, it's time to do a renewal of such sorts. It's a revival of such sorts. So yes, if you guys are interested, I'm hosting two different well, they're not different, just going to be two different dates. Two dates of a Zoom ceremonial baptism will be hosted. One will be this Saturday, the 11th, and the other one will be on the 18th of July, which is a Saturday. Whatever days works for you guys, the link is right there in the description for you. To participate in part of this ritual here, there's only really two things that you're really going to need if you guys want to participate. Well, three. One, you need to sign up. that's one. The second is to the garb that you'll be wearing during the ceremony will be all white. It's an all white ensemble, so it can be a t-shirt, it could be a dress, it could be pants. It's not particular, as long as it's all white. And then also an all white head covering. So you want to make sure that you have your hair and your head, your crown covered, okay? Now, why is the purpose of wearing all white, and what is the purpose of this crown? Let me hold on. I have my heat on. This thing is tearing me up. Hold on real quick, guys. Woo, Jesus, that thing is tearing me up. Good Lord, I'm over here sweating bullets. So what is the purpose of the all white ensemble? So if you guys understand with anything with ritual, right, particularly why you wear white is a representation of invoking spirit. So I know a lot of times we like to associate spirit as being the mother or feminine, but I want you guys to know something. Spirit is actually masculine. Now, does it make it a man? No, it's not man. It's a masculine energy. So when you wear white, you're invoking the spirit. Think of it like this in terms of masculinity. When the male ejaculates, it is a white substance, creamy substance, right? It is actually a creamy substance that is produced by the spinal fluid. And we know the spinal fluid is another life-giving source that helps keeping the brain and the functionings of the body moving. So that is the electrical energy, okay? So we're tapping electrically into the magnetism of the great divine mother. So that's what the purpose of the white represents, okay? If Ifa practices or other African religious practices, there is a ceremony. They particularly have an all white ceremony that is to the Babalawo or a Batalo. And excuse me if I'm getting that wrong, guys. I'm not as well versed into African religious traditions, but I know a little bit enough just to kind of give some reference points there. But that's just some of the reasonings for the white. So we want to make sure we're in alignment with that as well. So we're just going to be wearing the all white. The second requirement for this is going to be a bowl of water or a cup of water. So we're not going to be doing full tub I mean, you can do it in your tub if you want to. If you want to do a full tanking into the tub, you can do that as well. I don't want it to be as involved, but I want it to be very much a ritual that helps us to usher in this renewal period within ourselves. And we'll be doing that on July the 11th and or the 18th of July, whatever dates work best for you all. It's going to be early, so it's going to be at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which will be 8 a.m. on East Coast time. Now, why those times, okay? Why specifically early in the morning like that? For those who understand the dark moon period or the dark moon, or what's considered to be the daily time of the dark moon, is between 3 a.m. to about 6 a.m. And those times are called the witching hour. And that's actually the darkest period of the day. And during that time is the best time to implant your new intentions, to implant your new seeds, and to really get anything done. If you guys read the book, I think it's the 4-Hour Work Week. I think that's the book. It could be another one, but all entrepreneurs typically wake up between the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. time period and really get things done. I've had opportunities to be around many million millionaires, and I'm telling you, every single one of those millionaires that I've had the opportunity to get to know and even been mentored by, they always wake up around 3:30 to 4 a.m. Even the oldest one I knew, he has like 73 years old. He still wakes up between 3:30 a.m. and 4 a.m. So I'm always up there. And you know, me too, I'm always up that time. Like spirit always seems to wake me up right at 4 a.m. or maybe just right before my alarm goes off. So it just always seems to wake me up. So that's how you know you're in divine flow. That is really going to be important to really tap into that time frame. I'm not saying you have to do it every morning, but if you are being called to wake up early to do your prayers, to do your incantations, to do your card readings, to check your emails, whatever that your spirit is calling you to do that, okay? You're in divine alignment. Hello, 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 hello.
Mommy?
That's amazing. Okay, I think I read that already. Okay, so let me go back into the, what's up, baby? Icicle pop? Yeah, go tell your sister to give you icicle pop. So let's recap. I wanted to recap into this so it won't be too long in this live, so we can go ahead and get through it. So I wanted to recap on saying how the baptism is, again, about being reconnected with the womb space. And then go back. Wait, what time do you wake up? I'm up for yoga and then take a nap. Yeah, I typically wake up around 3:30, 4 a.m. And then I'll probably go back to sleep around 7 a.m. But then I'll wake up again at 8 because the kids get up at 8. So around 9. But I like to get up around 8 again so I can have breakfast ready for the kids. But that's typically, what time do I go to sleep? Oh, wait, I go to sleep. Yeah, I go to sleep like late, like maybe midnight. But I wake up 4 in the morning anyway. I do take afternoon naps. So my sleep time is not a typical 8 hours to 6 to 8 hours of sleep, like straight. I don't do that. I may get like 4, 5 hours, and then I'll wake up around 4 in the morning. Then I'll go back to sleep around 7, wake up again around 8, 8:30. Prepare breakfast for the kids, and I'll take an afternoon nap, typically around 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock. So my sleep is kind of broken up through the day, and I feel functionable. I actually I have a plant-based diet too. So I do my chlorophyll, my super mega greens. I'm also on the Crondis crispus, the sea moss. So helping to keep my energy going, so that what helps me. See, this is why I have to be an entrepreneur. Spirit be waking me up knowing that I got to do work in the morning. Okay, mommy, Watson, get on it. Watson melanin. Yes. Oh, I'm late. I love that hairstyle on you. Thank you, Red Goddess. Thank you. But yeah, so that's my particular sleep patterns. So again, just let me recap on this before I get distracted, because I could just I'll read these comments all day. So let's go back into this right here. So before the church has adopted the ceremonies, or usurped, I should say, they usurped. If you guys read The Great Sibyls, the book, but The Great Sibyls, that's a really great book to read. It's on Amazon. I say get it. It really details on how the oracles or the great mothers and the priestesses were dismantled by the patriarchy, and how it was able to take over and just completely corrupt and perverse all the prophecies and rituals and rites of the Great Mother. So what we're doing now, it's in a time of reawakening, renewal period. The Great Mother has has risen. She is awake. She is well aware, and she is here, and she is awakening through myself, through you all, through all of us who are on this collective journey together. We are now being called to do this ceremonial ritual rite. And also for some of you, this may be a name changing for you as well. Whatever name, you may get your business name out of this. You may get your elevated name out of this. Whatever that you are looking to get out of this is for you, okay? As much as I'm doing this for me, this is just for you too, because I feel like your spirits, or we're on one accord here, and we're feeling the same thing. Like, okay, it's time for this renewal. It's time for this change. The old way of me doing things did not work. All right, the way I was doing my business doesn't work. The way I was running my family does not work. The way I was conducting my physical health is not working. It is time for a renewal, and this right here is going to be the physical representation of what you have already set place in the spiritual realm and the mindset that you have already changed in your mental, because we know everything starts with the mind, and when the mind is renewed, the body is renewed. All right, the body must follow. So that is all I wanted to give today. I didn't want to make this too long. Again, the book I'm referencing is by Barbara G. Walker, The Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects. It's a really good reference book if you are interested to know more about the symbols and sacred objects of the divine feminine, of the Great Mother. This is a really good book. There was another book I have that I was going to reference really quickly for those who are interested in learning about the Great Mother. Let's see, I have a lot of good books. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these books. I just said this. I'm going to do a separate video about books. But I am going to reference this book really quickly. This book is called The Great Mother by Eric Newman. So if you guys are interested in knowing, this is more of an analytical. He's a psychologist, which is very interesting. So he does an analytical psychological breakdown of the ancient cultures of antiquity that were. So he does a really great analytic approach to it. So if you guys are really into okay, I really like analytical writing. So, I mean, it's very technical. If you like technical writing, which I do, this is a really great book. Even if you're not a very technical writer, I still say it's a great reference books to have to really give you, some great knowledge. I love that he has again, artifacts and pictures and references, like there's just so many artifacts, so many pictures, oh my God. And then all his references and the people that he referenced. That's what I look for myself when it comes to books. I like to see who do they reference, who does the author reference. That matters to me, because then I'll go through and see what they wrote. Like, for instance, let's see who's somebody he referenced that I end up getting a book from. I know he referenced Barbara G. Walker. He did reference her book. So the bibliography. Always go to the bibliography if you want to know who their references are, and read. And download the articles, find the books, and read those. And that kind of helps give you it helps you know who's authentic. That's my way of doing things. I like to know who's authentic in their research and who are they going by, because you could say anything every day all day, and words are cool, but if they're not backed by anything, particularly since we live in a place where there's industries and organizations in place to make something give people authority over information. So if you're into that, that's one way to reference some things. But I'm gonna do another video later on, not today, I'm tired, but later on, about my books and how to where I get my books, where I get my information, and how I started this journey, because I am a very analytical person. So that helps me with my spirituality. It got to make sense, boots on the ground, before I get up here in the clouds. But okay, guys, any questions for me specifically talking about the baptism, as far as the ritual, the rite, the baptism ceremony that's beginning taking place this month? Go ahead and hit me in the comments section. I ordered last night. Someone saying, "Oh goodness, did you order one of these books already? That's what's up." Hey, Dream Talk 100 God. Hey, Lioness with the Cub. I like that name. That's a cool name. Y'all got some really cool handles going on here. These are really cool handles. But all right, guys, if you guys don't have any questions for me, then make sure you please hit me up on the link. Go ahead and join on one of these ceremonies. And don't forget that we're doing a wisdom study on the Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 movies. I love doing book studies and film studies. So we're going to start with the film study first. I have some ideas for some book studies, but I would like to, throw some out to you guys to see what you guys are interested in as well, because I have my interests, but I definitely want to see what you guys are all into. But alrighty, thank you all, and you guys have a lovely rest of your week. And until next time, bye.